Hello, and welcome to our live webinar, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Stefan Sikorski, the Delivery Director for BetterMeds, and I'm joined today with Fazila. Fazila,
Hi, I'm Fazila, Project Manager for Hereford and Worcester Healthcare Trust.
thank you. We're going to be doing a 30-minute webinar on delivering ePMA in just 10 weeks. So let's have a look at our agenda. So today we're going to talk about who we are. So you've got a bit of context between who Better is and who Hereford and Worcestershire is, how the project was delivered, how in the experience and the engagement helped with the delivery, and then at the end of the session, we've got some time for some questions and answers. Now we do have a live web chat available and a full project team behind us and product support. So please ask your questions as we go along. And then we'll pick some up as we get to the end of the session. Now, first of all, who are we? Let's have a look at who Better is for those that don't know us. So Better Meds is a part of the Better solution. It's a ePMA, electronic prescribing medicines administration solution that was first introduced into Slovenia, actually into Ljubljana. It was brought into the University Children's Hospital and the Institute of Oncology. And then about 5 years ago, we moved over to the United Kingdom. So we are now live in 10 trusts in the UK. These are a mixture of acute trusts, mental health trusts, and community trusts. We're also about to implement across 68 hospitals for one large regional solution in Catalonia. The reason we're here today is to talk about the 10-week implementation, which has been recognised by the Health Tech News as an award winner for the Partnership of the Year award. Now, BetterMeds itself, it's a solution that's been built and designed around clinician workflows by clinicians and by user engagement. Every year, through this user engagement and through keeping an eye on national standards, there are three major updates that get released. Part of those updates are designed around user experience as well as workflows, and there is a full suite of front end and back end designers that help process and deliver your streamlined work. Now, also worth mentioning the integration standards. So BetterMeds embeds into your existing workflows, creating a vendor-neutral platform allowing for advanced features as well, such as EPS, stock control integration, your medicines cabinets, your oncology prescribing systems, as well as some regional prescribing solutions. Now, Fazila, would you mind telling us a little bit about Hereford and Worcester, please?
Yeah, so our trust operates across both Herefordshire and Worcestershire, serving a combined population of over 800,000 people, and we actively support 10,000 patients. We are the lead provider for our mental health and learning disability services, and we offer a wide range of healthcare services, which includes but not limited to community health and mental health services, including acute care.
Okay. So we're going to talk a lot about this implementation over 10 weeks. I think that it's worth mentioning that BetterMeds can be embedded into a trust's chosen or self-built EPR. But at Hereford and Worcester, you opted for a standalone solution outside of some of these integrations. How do you think this contributed to your timeline?
So, opting for the standalone solution of the allergies module was a strategic decision that contributed to the timeliness of our implementation. By focusing on the core goal of transitioning from paper to digital, we prioritized increasing patient safety. So embedding additional functionality within our existing EPR would have likely resulted in extended timescales and technical complexities. By following this approach, it allowed us to bypass potential delays associated with integrating any nice-to-have features, which can sometimes extend project timelines significantly. Instead, we focus on achieving the fundamental transition from paper records to digital, and addressing the risks associated with paper charts, such as illegible handwriting or losing our physical charts. We can consider incorporating additional functionality in later stages once it's thoroughly embedded and stable for everyday use.
So it's fair to say that the trust opted to go for the solution that met the fundamental quick fixes of clinical safety, and will focus upon fixing some of those more enhanced features, which enables you to go live quicker with those benefits. Thank you. So let's have a quick look at the timeline and the project timescales, because 10 weeks is an awfully quick time. So it's fair to put into some context of what this meant for us. Now, the project originally kicked off in 2022. So there was a period of project implementation prior to that. So we got to a stage where we were almost ready to go live. Now, what this means for us is that there was a lot of lessons learned, including which team to use, how the technical requirements were created, how we needed to do UAT, and how we need to do other things. Now, post summer last year, you had a quite large PAS and EPR outage, and it's fair to say your trust then moved on to fixing that, solving that, focusing quite rightly on the patient safety aspects of EPR. So project halted in, let's say, September. It was early September in 2022, and there was no engagement, no focus on the project. Now, this was quickly resolved towards the start of this year, and then you and I first sat down in mid-March, let's say 20th of March, as we've got on here. That was our first actual meeting, where we looked at how, now that the EPR and the PAS was back up, we could actually start implementing BetterMeds. This is when we looked at the project needs and goals. So sat down, developed a plan, and we decided that 22nd of May would be our best date for go live if we were to go at speed. Following on from the plan, we looked at getting board approval, because we obviously needed to get the engagement, the sign off from the trust, and the SRO and the CIO and the clinical leads were all there, and they agreed the plan. We also looked at what we needed to get the team assembled, so clinical and the project teams, and what we needed from them. Amazingly, it was signed off as a plan, and so our technical guys and your technical guys at Hereford and Worcester started working on quite an intense upgrade procedure. Now, from September through till March, April, there was 2 major releases of BetterMeds, so they had to be upgraded so you can get full functionality in the full suite. That included doing your dev, your UAT, your prod, and also those external bits, so your clinical decision support from FDB and DM&D. We also needed to integrate into your PAS. At the same time, review all the UAT plans and scripts. UAT testing, phases 1 and 2 lasted 2 weeks, and they were quite rigorous, to say the least. I think daily calls, we went to and sat down and did those UATs together with your team and with our team, and then technical meetings were weekly, where we fixed the solutions on the fly. At the same time, during that first board meeting, the medical director was quite enthusiastic about the project, and he's offered his support on driving, training, and engagement. And we had a good meeting with him on the 17th of April, where a lot of these on-site engagement sessions were agreed. Now, alongside all this, we do need to mention clinical safety, because with 2 major releases, there's a lot of clinical safety changes that needed to be agreed on. So our clinical safety officer worked with the trust clinical safety officer to update the DCB 0160 and 0129, which the compliances in the UK, to have this all signed off. Come mid-May, Fazila, you went to trust board, showed them the checklist of all the things that we've managed to complete within this time frame, and they said, yes, you're good to go. So actually, on the 22nd of May, we did go live, and I say we because it felt like a project where we worked together on the Primrose unit at Pouch, which you've mentioned before, was an 8-bedded unit, quickly followed by Licky Ward and Cottage Ward, which were complex units and higher bed states. And we'll see later how these two go lives actually allowed you to then carry on with the go live. So now we've looked at the timeline, Faz. Let's talk about the project delivery. 10 weeks is a long time. Let's talk about the key success factors. Can you mention some of those key success factors as you see them?
Yeah. So one of the key factors was the buy-in at all levels, from our project board to doctors, pharmacists, nurses, including our support staff. This was achieved through joint working between the BetterMeds team and our team, project team. And that resulted in all staff having confidence in the ePMA system, but it also meant that it was configured effectively to meet the needs of the clinical teams, and that we had technical support available throughout implementation and the bedding in period afterwards. The extent of the faith led to the fact that we decided to bring forward the implementation rollout to all our community hospital areas across the trust, following the successful go live in our inpatient areas.
So you've touched upon some of the technical team and the clinical team that you've been working with. So I wonder, how was this clinical and technical representatives assembled, and do you have any role which you feel was essential prior to go live?
Yeah, so it was an equal partnership with both parties, each bringing their own valuable skills, expertise, and insights. BetterMeds provided an insight into what had worked in other similar trusts. Meanwhile, we assembled the right representation to sit on the project team, ensuring that staff time was committed to ensure the project could be progressed seamlessly. Our project team consisted of representatives across the trust, including the trust medical director, the clinical director of palliative care, our CIO, pharmacy director, nursing director, and the technical lead, and also included input from the sisters and matrons from the community hospitals. So the assembly of the right clinical and technical representatives was a crucial step in our project. We assessed the project scope to determine what was the necessary level of clinical and technical representation and ensured we had diversity. Our CIO, she offered pivotal technical expertise, and our senior leads led a crucial aspect of the project strategic direction. The role of the clinical engagement lead was absolutely essential in preparing users for the go live. So Ian Douglas, our clinical engagement lead, he demonstrated a proactive approach by asking numerous questions. He collaborated closely with various teams and particularly pushing for pharmacy involvement. He effectively led the way in setting the standards for training and engagement.
So we've talked about you were mentioning there some of the pivotal players. Ian Douglas, I remember working with him. He fantastic chap, totally enthusiastic by the project. So as we talk about these representatives, I was wondering if you could explain to us how the decision to implement at pace came about, and what kind of approach to decision making did your team adopt?
Yeah, so the decision for rapid implementation was driven firstly by a commitment to effectively meet our goals, as well as BetterMeds. They understood that each trust was unique and needs appropriate time for decision making. They supported us to leverage insights from our neighbouring trusts already using BetterMeds, such as the Valley Trust. Together, we identified the most appropriate pilot ward, which was a small 6-bedded ward that provided specialised end-of-life care. This allowed us to test some of the complex prescribing regimes, and including the software capabilities. We then expanded to a 28-bed rehabilitation ward.
So that sounds like everyone was getting involved in this project to make the decision. But let's talk about the users as well. Would you be able to talk about how they were supported through the first few weeks? How did they feel about that level of support?
So yeah, we've particularly focused on training and staff engagement. Initially, BetterMeds trained a core team of super users and had on-site staff for support. Pre-implementation engagement sessions and roadshows were held, which allowed staff to ask questions and understand the impact of the rollout. We also, had an online training results in a 90% completion rate. We also had face-to-face sessions for further queries. During go live, we ensured that there was a seamless transition for people users across sites by providing extended support hours and all-day MS Teams call. Floor walk-in staff was also readily available, and that added an extra layer of support. Users found and expressed a high satisfaction and positive experience, and especially during the celebratory final go live at our pilot community hospital ward. We celebrated with a cake, which I made, and the clinical staff gathered around and applauded the achievement, which was quite nice and positive.
And thank you for the cake because I remember that. I think we got a photo of it in that moment, and I've been a part of quite a few go lives, and actually being on site for all of those, you could feel the energy and the support behind them. And I think it was a surprise to both of us how well they felt that was for them. It was something to be proud of. So whilst we talk about the users, what about the support from a technical side? Not just technical, but how did you feel the teams developed the safety case, the DCB 0160 and 0129, for example?
Okay, so in terms of the technical support, we had direct access to the BetterMeds technical team through either mobile phone and allowed us to bypass the help desk or third-party teams. Their commitment to transparency and clear communication regarding the project phases set them apart. In terms of clinical safety, Christine Wadsworth, the clinical lead at BetterMeds, she provided valuable clinical safety advice and also aided our order set developments for the palliative care wards. So the behind-the-scenes support and visible present boosted staff confidence in the new ePMA, highlighted its benefits for the trust.
I was talking to Christine earlier today, Wadsworth, our clinical safety officer, and she will echo that and say that she really enjoyed working with, especially the likes of Ian Douglas, your clinical lead for the area, and supporting in that way. And there was a lot of really good feedback, not just from the clinical people, but the users from a technical side. I think it worked quite seamlessly. So when we look at the actual project itself, how do you see the benefits of the project work in the scope of healthcare advances? And probably what are some of the implications for health and care in a solution like this?
So in terms of the rapid delivery of the project, being of significance was due to the risks associated with operating a dual system of digital and paper. By enabling the trust to implement ePMA very quickly, the risk associated with this was minimized. In addition to the benefits that ePMA can offer in terms of better, safer patient care, there's also a broader benefit as the implementation that we've used can act as a blueprint for other trusts adopting ePMA.
That's quite a valid point, actually, the blueprinting. So one of the things that we like to do, and we offer all of our trusts, and part of what you are is our ePMA community, which is how you can evolve not just your systems but your processes, work together, share those lessons, not just from a system point of view, but how you can enable the transition, the changes, the enhancements of care. So and I'd like to pick up on the last bit, which is the advancing digital maturity of the sector, where these sessions for better and for the users, we like to have those and deliver those so that we can work with clients and with NHS England and international standards, such as your HIMSS and your Gartner recommendations, to continue to improve, which is why we then obviously do these two major releases each year, which focus on those enhancements for you, for our patients, and for our carers and relatives. So now, going live at such a fast pace can be kind of scary. Change is scary. So I'd like to ask, were there any initial reservations regarding the go live and this rapid transition? And how did you manage to resolve that resistance or resilience?
So initially, there was some hesitancy due to the pause in the project caused by the outage when we were due to go live last year. So to overcome this, we took proactive steps by involving key senior leaders, including the medical director and nursing director, and gaining their support while emphasizing the significance of the initiative. Additionally, we also organised a dedicated engagement session specifically for the pilot area, providing a platform for open discussions, allowing us to address concerns and promote collaboration with BetterMeds. By actively listening to any staff concerns, and we cultivated a sense of ownership and alignment by transferring potential challenges into opportunities for success during our go live efforts. Furthermore, we also established a robust on-site project presence and conducted interactive multiple Q&A sessions with all staff to provide immediate support and address any other concerns. We also held like pre-go live play learn sessions, which further encourage engagement and familiarity with the new system. So I think that went quite well.
So I've got a picture of the cake there and that go live. And people actually using the system. You talk about these engagement sessions and the play and learn sessions. I wonder, do you have any feedback on, I suppose, how we and how your trust, how Better and Herefordshire and Worcestershire ensure that the feedback from the staff was integrated into the implementation, not just for go live, but for beyond, for your extra areas that are going on?
So yes, during our testing and workshop sessions, we made an agreement on our configuration changes, which really enhanced confidence in the system's functionality. Business analysts, they conducted workshops and use case analysis, ensuring that our final solution met the specific needs of the clinical teams. Some of the change requests we made were already part of the future roadmap, which really indicated that there was a strong alignment between our needs and the system's ongoing development. Additionally, BetterMeds had a proactive approach in listening to and understanding our issues. Their eagerness to learn more about our challenges showed their commitment to continuously improve their product for the future. You can hear more about it in the video that's about to be played, I think.
So we do have a video. Before we play the video, I just want to give some context behind it. So this, and I want to say thank you to Herefordshire and Worcestershire for allowing us to share this to our community today that are online. This was generated purely by the users for feedback and for them to explain to other areas how how the benefits are. That this is something that was generated just through project implementation to support going live in other areas as a way to say, hey guys, let's carry on, let's crack on. So let's play that video for you now. And thank you again, Herefordshire and Worcestershire.
Yes, everyone loves it. Everyone loves the system. It's much better, much better. Nurse task list is the best one.
When you come to Parkinson's meds, they've got a different timings. Usually you miss that, but when you look at the nurse task list, it gives you the exact timing when the patient is to be given. But when you look at the drug chart that's on the system, it does, like, you get confused. but then the nurse tasklet gives you the exact time when the medicine has to be given. So that's an easier thing, I felt. It makes easy. You can just make a note or put a timer, and you can go and give the medication at the right time.
From patient list on the ward, you can choose certain patients to be your named patient. So if you're allocated 10 patients for a day, then you know you're working a long shift for that day. You can add those patients as your patient, so they will be on your name, your list. Yeah. So then you will not be missing anyone.
It shows in red, like obviously when you see red, your eyes are gonna go first on it. Yeah. So it's like, oh, you've missed something, and then you're gonna go and see, you're gonna select it. But it has the color codes which make it much more easier. Like if you see yellow, you know that it's
due for them.
Yeah. Due.
Yeah. And blue will be future, so you don't have to look at that one. It's not due. And green, it will be green when we're given.
Yeah, given.
Yeah. And you can differ. If you go to a patient and a patient is asleep or patient away from the beds when you're doing the medication, you can defer it
and go back
to it. And
I definitely was. I've only ever used paper charts before. I'm not very IT proficient, so I was really just worried about the whole system, and I was on annual leave and I only work part-time, so it was a lot of stress and worry, but actually having done it for about 4 weeks now, I think it's a lot better than the paper system, and there's always somebody to ask. Usually my colleagues can answer any questions, so I kind of recommend it because I was really worried, and I'm a fan now.
Personally, I don't find it very stressful because of the fact that we get immense support from the ePMA team before we even have a hand-on experience, which I feel it's so easy when it goes live, and then when you start, you just go straight away. You're already aware and you already know as to how to work with it. But obviously there are new things that you discover every day, but it's really easy, and I would never go back to paper prescription, never. It's lovely. And the best part is BNF, which is a click away, which will give you the indications, contraindications, and it, so to say, it's again a learning process for you as a registered nurse, which is brilliant.
I've watched that a couple of times, and one of the things that I quite like about that video and love is that these are the guys that we were working with from the beginning of engagement sessions. And I remember speaking to some of those nurses when we were on the first site and going through what levels of support they've got, especially when you've got people that don't work very often, coming 2 or 3 shifts, after some annual leave. It's lovely to see how they've taken on the experience with them. Now, before we move on to questions and answers, or we might have time for 1 or 2, I just want to ask finally, Faz, what was, looking back over the time, those 10 weeks where it was really hard work and beyond, what were your best parts of the ePMA adoption and collaboration that stood out for you?
I would say the best parts were the tangible benefits we witnessed and the profound impact it has on patient care and safety. Firstly, the significant reduction in medication errors was a standout achievement. The system's checks and balances, along with the real-time decision support, that greatly improved the accuracy and safety of prescribing medications, which not only enhance patient outcomes, but also installed confidence in our clinical staff. Additionally, the partnership between us and BetterMeds was remarkable. The responsiveness of the BetterMeds team to our needs and their willingness to listen and adapt to our feedback was exceptional. The positive feedback from the clinical staff was really encouraging. Their willingness to embrace the new system and their appreciation for the training and support provided were clear indicators of the successful implementation. The ePMA system empowered our clinical teams to deliver safer, more efficient care, which is one of the most rewarding aspects of the journey.
I think if I may add something before moving on, for those who don't know me, I've actually worked in the NHS on ePMA implementations for a long time before I moved over to Better. And one of my fears was not being able to be as close to the NHS as I used to be. And actually, it's been nice because I feel that we've worked as a team for one goal: improve patient safety, improve usability, and to make sure people feel supported. So I'd like to say thank you again to yourself and to Heritage and Worcester for working in this collaborative way. So let's have a look. I'm bearing in mind of time. I'm sorry for running over. So if you've got any questions, I might be able to take one. So let's have a look. I've got one from Patrick. May I ask what type of human risk factors have you identified during each stage of the implementation and how you have addressed them? Is this one you'd like to take, Fazila, or we combine forces as usual? We'll combine forces. So I think human risk factor is very fundamental in any kind of implementation, not just electronic prescribing, but in any forms of life. Now, you're looking at tiredness, you're looking at being out writing the wrong thing, you're looking at selecting from the wrong list. When it comes to electronic prescribing, that is most natural for them. Now, with the clinical safety case that we've put together, it's not just an internal exercise from Better, it's not just an external exercise with ePMA, but we also involve lots of other different experienced suppliers out there, such as Safe Hands, for example, that help us identify a lot of these risks. I know that part of my role in the current life was identifying risks of human factors. So these all get added not just to a risk log, not just to a hazard log, but they get discussed at project board and at project level. And a few of them have been identified. You mentioned yourself, Azila, that Ian Douglas, the medical lead at the unit, was looking at order sets. So how sorry to put you on the spot, but do you feel that Ian has helped with those human factors by identifying issues in prescribing?
Yes, so the reason why we gone down the order sets approach is that when a clinician is prescribing certain like complex order sets, kind of like it helps you prescribe more safely within a specific group. So that was the reason why we've gone down that approach, is that it limits the risk of human factors, selecting the wrong medication.
Okay. Now I'm bearing in mind time. I'm just looking through the chat. I've got another question here. So let's have a look. Several factors contribute to success. Which factor do you feel is which factor? Let's see, now I'm trying to read it. Which factor do you feel contributes the most success of the project and its delivery?
So I would say clinical engagement played an essential role in our successful implementation. The full support and active involvement of clinical roles such as doctors, pharmacists, and nurses were instrumental. The commitment and expertise of the implementation from BetterMeds were vital. Their extensive knowledge and expertise were central to our process, while ensuring it also met our clinical needs. And then also the approach of framing our implementation as a clinical improvement project that significantly contributed to our success. The strategy, which was led by a palliative care consultant who's also the clinical engagement lead for the project, part of our first pilot site, took on that role as our clinical engagement lead and played a crucial role in pushing clinicians for buy-in and fostering their involvement. So yeah, in essence, the collaboration and commitment of the clinical teams, the dedicated support of the BetterMeds implementation team, the strategic focus on clinical improvement, which all played indispensable roles in the effective and rapid implementation of the ePMA.
And I would like to add more about collaboration. I think I've mentioned a couple of times how good it was, but I'm wary of time, so we've run over slightly. I do apologise, but if there are any more questions, you can ask us in the chats that you've got from LinkedIn and also in the web form that you may have. So what I think we'll do at this stage is just thank you very much for joining us. I hope this has been helpful. The video will be available to share, and we'll say thank you and goodbye.